Imagine you're typing maybe your most sensitive medical symptoms or like a deeply private financial panic right into WhatsApp. And what if you knew that the second you closed the chat, the conversation vanished completely?
Right. They're totally gone.
Exactly. Not even Meta could ever retrieve it. I mean, it sounds like a privacy utopia, right? But if you are a corporation looking to hide a massive, unprecedented legal liability, you don't build a thicker vault. You build a machine that is explicitly designed to forget.
Yeah, you really have to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Because it's a fascinating pivot.
It really is. Today, we are looking at why a brand new, highly anticipated ultimate privacy feature that just rolled out to 1 billion users might actually be, well, the greatest legal shield ever engineered in the digital age.
Absolutely. We are watching this fundamental collision between consumer demands for absolute privacy and a very deliberate legal accountability void. Plus, a macroeconomic gamble that is so large, it's making Wall Street incredibly nervous.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, we are talking about $145 billion on the line and a technology architecture that essentially vaporizes its own footprints.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are officially putting on our forensic business strategist hats. Our mission here is to perform a holistic, top-to-bottom autopsy on Meta's new Incognito mode for its Meta AI on WhatsApp.
It's going to be a heavy one.
Yeah, so over the next few minutes, we're going to look through the technical claims, the cybersecurity assessments, and the underlying macroeconomic data, because this is not just a software update.
No, not at all.
It is a fundamental shift in how human beings are being trained to interact with artificial intelligence.
And to really understand the danger, or at least the implications here, you have to separate the marketing narrative from the actual server architecture.
Right.
Because Meta's messaging right now is heavily focused on user empowerment. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg recently stated that this is the first major AI product where there is no log of your conversations stored on servers.
Which sounds great on paper.
It does. And Will Cathcart, who's the head of WhatsApp, he explained the rationale perfectly from a consumer perspective. He noted that people feel a lot of discomfort sharing highly sensitive personal information with a tech giant.
Right. I mean, if you are asking an AI about a concerning medical symptom, or you're trying to navigate a looming financial bankruptcy or, a severe relationship crisis, you want the help, but you definitely do not want Meta having a permanent record of your vulnerability.
Exactly. Nobody wants that stored in a database somewhere.
So Cathcart claims that this new incognito mode allows you to have those conversations and then the chat history just disappears, like neither the user nor the AI's responses are monitored.
Right.
But Cathcart made a specific comparison that I really want to put under a microscope. He claimed that the technology behind this incognito mode is the equivalent of the end-to-end encryption that WhatsApp already uses for your personal messages.
Yeah, that specific word equivalent is doing some very heavy lifting there.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Because frankly, it requires some immediate technical clarification. From a cybersecurity and architectural standpoint, those are two vastly different mechanisms.
Right, because end-to-end encryption, which secures your standard WhatsApp chats with your friends, is basically a mathematical lock.
Exactly. The data is scrambled on your device, it travels across the internet as unreadable code, and it is only unscrambled when it reaches your friend's phone.
So let me try to visualize that. End-to-end encryption is like you and your friends speaking a highly complex secret language that the postman cannot understand. The message is protected while it is in transit.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
But this new AI incognito mode, I mean, it doesn't sound like that at all. It's not about protecting a message while it travels to a friend.
No, it's totally different.
I mean, if true end-to-end encryption is like sending a locked safe through the mail, this incognito mode feels more like whispering into a paper shredder. You aren't encrypting a conversation, you're guaranteeing its immediate destruction.
Whispering into a paper shredder. What's fascinating here is that is a much more accurate way to look at it.
Yeah.
To understand how that works, you have to look at how servers physically process data.
Right, under the hood.
Yeah. Normally, when you interact with a chatbot, your prompts and the AI's responses are written to persistent storage, like hard drives on a server rack somewhere.
And that data is saved, often to train future models, right?
Exactly. But in this incognito mode, the processing happens entirely within volatile memory, or RAM. The moment your session ends, the electrical state of that memory is just cleared.
Oh, wow. So it just vanishes.
Yeah, the data doesn't just become hard to access. It physically ceases to exist.
Which brings in some very interesting insights from the cybersecurity community.
Hmm.
We have Professor Alan Woodward, a highly respected expert from Surrey University who looked at this rollout.
And he has some interesting takeaways.
He did. He pointed out a positive aspect first, actually. He said introducing this volatile memory system carries a very low risk of compromising WhatsApp's existing end-to-end encryption.
Right, because the messaging protocol and the AI module seem to be securely compartmentalized.
Exactly.
So the underlying security of the app remains intact, which is crucial. But Woodward's analysis forces us to look past the technical achievement and ask a deeper structural question.
Well, the cynical business view, really.
Yeah, exactly. Because the corporate world typically views data as the ultimate asset. But when it comes to highly sensitive medical, psychological, or financial information, data suddenly transforms into a massive liability.
For sure. It attracts cybercriminals, it triggers incredibly strict compliance laws, and it draws the attention of government regulators.
So by engineering an AI that only operates in volatile memory and instantly forgets everything, Meta isn't just protecting the user's privacy. They are completely washing their hands of the liability of holding that data.
You cannot be subpoenaed for a server log that literally evaporated the second the conversation ended.
Precisely the point. It is a brilliant way to offer a service without carrying the regulatory baggage of that service.
But this architectural choice creates a profound secondary effect. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because the conversation shifts from data privacy to the actual mechanics of legal accountability.
Right.
If the data vanishes perfectly from the volatile memory, as Meta promises, what happens when the underlying technology fails?
This raises an important question. Let's follow that logic because this is where the reality of interacting with large language models becomes highly relevant.
Yeah.
An AI assistant is not a traditional search engine. It doesn't just point you to a verified website. It acts as an agent. It synthesizes vast amounts of data. It predicts the next most likely word, and it generates direct, authoritative sounding advice.
And we know, as a matter of technical fact, that these models hallucinate.
All the time.
They confidently present false information as absolute truth.
And we are not talking about a theoretical vulnerability here. There is already a legal precedent forming.
Yeah.
Major AI companies, including giants like OpenAI and Google, are currently facing wrongful death lawsuits.
Right, really. Wrongful death.
Yes. These cases often hinge on users forming deep, trusting relationships with an AI, receiving hallucinatory or dangerous advice, and then acting upon it to their detriment.
So let's look at a highly plausible scenario under this new Incognito architecture. By May 2025, Meta AI had reached 1 billion users across Instagram, Facebook, and Messenger. 1 billion people.
That is a staggering scale.
If just a fraction of a percent of those users turn to this Incognito AI during a severe crisis, say a psychological emergency or a sudden frightening physical symptom, they ask the AI for help.
Right.
And the AI, operating probabilistically, hallucinates. It generates objectively dangerous medical advice, or it fails to recognize a psychological crisis and actually encourages harmful behavior.
Which is terrifying.
If that advice leads directly to a user's injury or death, how do investigators piece together what happened?
They don't. That is the chilling reality of Professor Woodward's warning.
They just have nothing.
Nothing. He told the BBC, and this really captures the tension of the era we are entering. He said, "Personally, I think what you ask in AI should remain private, as some people ask it, very personal matters. But you are placing a great deal of trust in the AI not to lead users astray."
Yeah.
Because in a standard legal investigation into corporate negligence, the very first step is discovery. You pull the chat logs to see exactly what the machine told the user. But in this ecosystem, there is zero forensic evidence. The whiteboard has been completely wiped clean.
Aren't we caught in a trap of our own making here? For over a decade, privacy advocates, regulators, everyday users, we have demanded that tech companies stop hoarding our personal data.
You practically beg for systems that leave no trace.
Right. Meta has finally delivered exactly what the market asked for, but in getting what we wanted, it seems like we've inadvertently designed the perfect digital crime scene. No weapon, no body, no server log.
It is the ultimate paradox.
If the product is explicitly engineered to vaporize the evidence of its own malfunction, the user is essentially opting out of their own consumer protections.
You are hitting on a very uncomfortable truth about the digital age. We often equate privacy with safety, but in the realm of automated agents, radical privacy actually strips you of legal recourse.
Now, Cathcart did offer a defense of the system's safety, right? He pointed out that the incognito mode will initially only process text, no images, and that the AI is built with internal guardrails.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
He says the system is instructed to err on the side of caution and refuse to answer requests that appear harmful or illegal. But are guardrails really enough for a billion users?
I understand the intention there, but anyone who has followed the development of large language models knows that guardrails are incredibly porous.
Right. Users constantly find ways to prompt engineer or jailbreak the models to bypass those restrictions.
Exactly. And even without malicious prompting, the model can simply make a probabilistic error, relying on a few internal guardrails to flawlessly protect a billion users feels like a tremendous leap of faith.
It's a massive assumption.
In any legal or regulatory framework, accountability mechanisms aren't built for the 99% of the time when things function perfectly. They are specifically built for the 1% of the time when things go catastrophically wrong.
Which makes sense.
But the architecture of this system asks you to place absolute, blind trust in an opaque algorithm, while operating inside an environment that ensures Meta can never be held empirically responsible for the output.
So if the ethical and legal risks of deploying untraceable AI at this scale are so complex, it forces us to ask the ultimate forensic question: why do it?
Right. Why take the risk?
Why would Meta deploy such a high-risk consumer product, especially when they are actively choosing not to harvest the user data that normally fuels their advertising algorithms?
You really have to follow the money here.
Yeah, to find the truth behind this aggressive corporate privacy push, we have to pull back and look at the macroeconomic realities.
And to understand the macro picture, you have to look at the staggering capital expenditures involved in building this technology.
The CapEx?
Exactly. We have data from Susanna Streeter at the investment platform Wealth Club, and she highlights a number that should make everyone pause.
Oh, I saw this.
Meta is on track to burn $145 billion, roughly 107 billion pounds on AI infrastructure alone in the year 2026.
So let's contextualize that number, because $145 billion in a single year for infrastructure is almost difficult to comprehend.
It's astronomical.
We aren't just talking about writing software code. AI requires a totally different physical footprint than standard messaging apps. We are talking about massive new data centers, tens of thousands of specialized NVIDIA GPUs, and the immense power grids and cooling systems required to keep those chips from melting while they process that volatile memory.
Exactly. The physical cost of computing has skyrocketed. And as Streeter points out, investors are acutely aware of this. Wall Street is watching this monumental capex gamble with high anxiety.
I would be anxious too.
When a company shells out $145 billion, investors do not want vague promises about the future. They demand massive, undeniable returns on that investment.
Right. Historically, tech infrastructure had a very clear path to monetization: gather data, sell targeted ads. But this incognito mode intentionally breaks that traditional model.
When tech giants are burning $145 billion on infrastructure while deploying untraceable AI agents, it is clear that deploying AI safely requires flawless management infrastructure. We want to thank our sponsor, DJAMGAMIND, for making today's briefing possible. DJAMGAMIND provides the high-fidelity forensic intelligence that the C-suite relies on to navigate the AI revolution. You can find their link in the show notes.
So what does this all mean? We have a $145 billion infrastructure burn. We have highly anxious investors demanding dominance, and we have a new AI feature that aggressively erases its own memory while actively locking out every single competitor.
That last part is key.
It's a crucial, easily overlooked strategic detail in the source material. WhatsApp has completely blocked all other rival AI chatbots from integrating into its systems.
Yep.
You cannot open WhatsApp and pull up a competitor's AI to ask it a question. Meta AI is the one and only artificial intelligence that its billions of users are permitted to interact with on the platform.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the strategy becomes very clear. It is the definition of a walled garden, executed flawlessly under the banner of consumer protection.
Is this aggressive incognito push just a brilliant smokescreen? Are they locking you in a highly private room, throwing away the key, but making sure Meta is the only brand allowed in that room with you just to dominate the commerce ecosystem?
Yes. The zero-log feature is brilliant public relations because it directly answers the societal demand for privacy.
Yeah.
They can honestly say, we are not spying on your health or financial queries,
Right.
but beneath the surface, it is a calculated mechanism to secure a total monopoly over user attention.
Because if they can convince you that their specific room is the only soundproof, safe place to whisper your secrets, you are going to keep coming back to that room.
Precisely. By blocking rivals and offering this ultimate privacy shield, they ensure that whenever you have a private panic, a late-night question, or a sensitive query, you are training your own behavioral habits to rely exclusively on Meta's ecosystem.
So they don't even need the data.
No, they don't need to read your specific incognito prompts to make money. They just need to ensure that their AI is the most trusted, most constantly utilized agent in your daily life.
Wow.
If they monopolize your attention through privacy, it supercharges their broader advertising and commerce empire across all their other non-incognito platforms. The privacy feature is just the moat protecting the $145 billion castle.
It is genuinely breathtaking when you lay it all out like that. I mean, we started this deep dive looking at what appeared to be a simple, user-friendly toggle switch for a private chat.
Just the little UI update.
Yeah, and by simply following the architecture and the money, we ended up dissecting a $145 billion existential corporate gamble. You are now equipped with the forensic truth of what is happening under the hood of your app.
It's a lot to process.
WhatsApp's new Incognito AI is undeniably a marvel of volatile memory engineering, but it is a marvel that simultaneously, and quite intentionally, strips away your power to hold the machine accountable when it inevitably makes a mistake.
Which leaves us with a rather profound structural tension to consider as we wrap up here.
Let's hear it.
For centuries, our legal systems have relied entirely on the concept of evidence to protect citizens from corporate negligence. But now, the most powerful and well-funded technology companies on Earth are actively engineering zero-evidence digital spaces.
And they are doing it with our full support.
Entirely under the guise of giving us the privacy we demanded. So it forces a chilling final question that every individual user is going to have to mull over on their own.
Yeah.
If our entire legal system relies on evidence to protect consumers, and tech giants are now actively engineering zero-evidence ecosystems, as we rush to embrace these private digital agents to solve our most intimate problems, are we willingly opting out of our own legal rights in the digital age?
It is a phenomenal question. And it is definitely something to think about the next time you are sitting on the edge of your bed at 2 in the morning staring at your screen and getting ready to type your deepest vulnerabilities into a machine designed to instantly forget you.